We're going to look today at an entry into the Achilles lock, the straight Achilles lock when we're passing the guard. So most of the times when you see people hitting leg locks for the finish, it's a twisting lock, a heel hook, a version of that, or a toe hold even, right? Because these things, twisting locks tend to be more damaging, they tend to be a little more dangerous, and they tend to finish things a lot faster. It doesn't mean that there's not a value to working on the straight Achilles lock, both for control and because there are some pretty powerful finishes there. So this video comes out of a question that we had received from someone asking about the value of straight ankle locks. I'm a big believer in the value of straight ankle locks. And even though, again, you don't always see them in operation at very, very high levels, you do sometimes, okay? And there are some notable people who have worked them and had a lot of success with them. This version we're gonna hit is gonna be an entry right out of our partner's guard. So we're on the top and they're gonna be using their legs. And I'll give you a kind of a caveat here, which is that it does involve some back exposure. And it's a trade-off because we do expose our back when we rotate to finish. However, this sort of Achilles lock, this version, is extra powerful. And the reason is because it does involve a kind of a twist. So there is a rotation for the person who's attacking, which gives it a little bit more juice than just a straight ankle lock. The big problem with straight Achilles locks that you see when people are working them is you often see people get a grip, they go into a Ashi Garami, and then they focus on like a straight drive back here. Now, that's not to say that that doesn't work, but a rotational power is much stronger, tends to be much stronger, right? And so it's much more damaging to the knee and the ankle and the elbow and the shoulder. So for that reason, like a lot of times straight ankle locks, you see people, especially if they're not used to getting good grip, or their partner's fighting the legs, they get here and they're really like, they're working hard and they're pushing the hips in and they feel like they just don't have the finish. And that can be a problem, it can be hard, and then you get tired, your partner comes up. So all of that stuff is to say, it doesn't mean don't work them, you do need to work them, but there are a few, like the one that we're going to work today, that have a little bit extra power, and if you have the time to develop them, you'll find that they're even more effective than something like the straight ankle lock where we're just facing one another, okay, rather than creating rotational force. So for today, we're going to work with a partner who's reclining here in supine position. Maybe we were working to pass the guard, and we noticed that this leg is hanging out. So either because we put it there or he's resting it there, this ankle is resting over our hip. That means that it's not in front of us, and it's not like way up high here where we would have to kind of reach back. It's kind of sitting here. So instead of capturing and sitting down here where we have a lot of distance between us and he can pull the knee back and start to involve his other leg and free his body here, instead of that, we're going to focus on coming forwards by posting our hand and holding our partner's knee. Your knee is going to cut across here into the position where your knee touches the mat. Now this is where the issues around back exposure come up, because my back is exposed. But as we get into this position, we focus on a strong wrap here around our partner's leg, right, around their ankle. When you have this grip, unlike the heel hook, when you have this Achilles grip, it is possible for your partner to get to the back, but this is also an anchoring grip, which makes it difficult for them to extract their leg in the same way it is with the heel hook. So you do have some control here that means that it's not going to be instantaneous your partner goes to the back. Now we're going to put some tension on our partner's leg by planting our hand and moving our body away from our partner here. So I'm not kind of running away from him, but I do want to slide my knee forward in order to be able to cover his quad, or rather put my knee like a pillow between his quad and the mat. Now we have this good grip. When we go to finish, we're not going to be arching straight up. We're going to rotate. So we're going to close our elbow, and even with just one hand in place, we're going to look behind us. What ends up happening here as we turn is we get a rotation that takes the slack out of our partner's toes. And this, taking the slack out of the toes, puts much more tension on the foot as a whole. That means when you bring your hips forward and you start to turn, your partner feels this much more acutely here and then also in the top of the foot than they would with just like a regular straight Achilles lock where you're sitting back. Okay, let's rotate angles here. So we're inside, the leg is hanging out. You can post on your partner's chest or put your hand on the floor, and then we're going to cut our knee across just like you would for a knee cut here. We're going to place our knee on the mat and we're going to sit, we're going to catch it. We're going to lift here and you're going to wrap. So we want to keep our hand high. Now we're going to slide slightly away from our partner. You can see I'm leaning back on him a little bit, putting weight forward, putting weight on his chest. We're going to bring that knee together, our knees control. Now, instead of just hitting forward, we're going to turn and rotate for an extra powerful finish. Okay, we'll give it to you one more time. So, 1, there's the ankle. 2, we post, and the knee goes through to the mat. Now from here, we lift and wrap. We bring our hand high. We post our hand on the floor. We're going to bring our knee towards our foot, arching back, and now we have a rotational finish. Look how the elbow comes back, our chest pushes forward, and the finish is here, okay? If your partner if he were pushing me off, like use your hands to push me away, I would focus here on the same sort of thing, but down on the mat. So just because your partner pushes you away doesn't mean that it's not going to work. And this is an example of a version of the Achilles lock that doesn't involve just straight power blasting through the leg, but rather rotational finish that folds the toes, that puts some tension in the leg, and creates a nice result for you here. Okay? So give this a try, a new or alternate version of the straight ankle lock. Okay? Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.